Hello, everybody. Welcome to the East 16th Avenue Storm System Phase 1 virtual public meeting. In the respect for the attendees out there time, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Matt Ferris. I will be the City of Denver's project manager for the upcoming storm sewer project. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to come and join us. We're going to go ahead and get started here. The agenda, first we'll introduce the critical team members for both the city and our contractor that will be performing the work. Then we're going to get into some details of the project, the what, the why, the where and when type of information. After that, we'll go into some contact information on how the best ways to stay informed on the project and the updates and how to get in touch with both the city and the contractor should you need to. And then we will have a question and answer session following that. There is a Q&A function that you can type your questions into. On our screens, it's located on the right-hand side and should be on your screen as well. Feel free to type in any question that you have throughout the presentation, and we have some moderators that will be attempting the best that they can to answer those questions via the platform through the chat function. And any question that can't be answered, we will address it at the end of the presentation in the Q&A session. And if there's any questions that are asked throughout the course of this that we don't necessarily have an answer for you at this moment in time, we will follow up with you and provide that answer once we have some more information. With that being said, I'll go ahead and go into the team introductions. The project team, again, for the city side, I will be the project manager. We also will have a project inspector that will be on site full-time. Their function is to look out for the city's interests and to ensure that the work the contractor is performing is going in per contract specifications. The other part of the project team is our contractor, which is BT Construction, and their project manager is Matt Vojkovic, and he is on this presentation to also help answer any specific questions that might come up during the Q&A. The other part of the contractor team would be outside of their workers that are actually performing the work. They'll have a superintendent on site full-time. And we'll have all of our contact information at the end of the presentation. Just throwing a shout out to some of the project stakeholders. Projects like this size of an infrastructure project, they don't happen isolated on an island. There's years of planning and design work that have gone into this up to this point, as well as coordination and communication with various utility companies out there. Anytime we do infrastructure work of this magnitude, again, there's already a lot of entities that are occupying space underground, under the streets and the parkways and whatnot, and we have to communicate and coordinate carefully with them to have them relocated and to get out of the way of the infrastructure that needs to be placed. So first we'll get into the what of this project. What are we doing? Overarchingly, this project is to install a new storm sewer system and upgrade the existing storm sewer system that's in place that services the South Park Hill neighborhood. This is the first phase of this project. Eventually, over the next handful of years, this project continues down through the South Park Hill neighborhood and addresses further flooding issues that are in the basin. But the intent of this project is to increase the capacity of the existing storm sewer system that's in the area. In addition to the storm pipe that we'll be installing in the new infrastructure with that, we will also be reconfiguring some roadways, specifically how eastbound 17th Avenue Parkway is accessed. Currently, there's a little traffic island there. That eventually will, as part of this project, will go away. It'll be a little bit smoother of a transition, especially for people heading northbound on Colorado Boulevard that are trying to go eastbound on 17th Avenue Parkway. The way you access that will eventually change. Also with this project, we will be upgrading the existing traffic light that's on Colorado Boulevard there, and also adding a bike lane, a section of a bike lane into westbound 17th Avenue Parkway, along with the signalized bike traffic crossing at that location. The where of this project. So this project begins at Jackson Street and 17th Avenue. We will be tying into, there's an existing storm sewer system that, if you're familiar with the neighborhood, approximately 15 or so years ago, a new increased storm system went into Jackson Street heading into City Park. This project will tie into that system and then head east down 17th Avenue towards Colorado Boulevard. We'll actually be tunneling underneath Colorado Boulevard with the infrastructure to reduce impacts to Colorado Boulevard traffic as much as possible, and then continue the alignment of the new storm sewer infrastructure down 17th Avenue Parkway to Albion Street. And at that point, we go 100 feet or so down Albion Street to the south. And that's where this first phase of the project ends. Eventually, as I mentioned, future phases of this project will send new infrastructure east down Batavia Place down to Dahlia, and then at Dahlia, it will jog to the south and then continue east along 16th Avenue. So don't be confused. Even though the project is called 16th Avenue, and you might be scratching your heads looking at this saying, well, they're only on 17th Avenue. That's why, because it's just the first phase of an overarching project that is intended to handle existing stormwater concerns and drainage concerns in the 16th Avenue corridor. Why are we doing this project and going to impact the community? Again, it's the why is because you can see here the entire upper Montclair Basin. It's a very large area of the city, and eventually there's a lot of water, storm water that enters into this basin and causes problems all over the basin. This project is just one of the attempts to help to address that stormwater in the Montclair Basin. Here's a picture. I believe this picture is from Dahlia and in between Batavia and 16th Avenue. Again, anybody that lives in this neighborhood or is at least familiar with it, you're well aware that in significant storm events, your neighborhood looks like this. Again, this project is intended to be the starting point to be able to handle all of this flow There is already storm sewer systems. A lot of these storm sewer systems were built in the early part of the 20th century. Specifically, running down 17th Avenue, there's an old 54-inch brick main. 100 years ago, that pipe was good enough to handle the flows. Currently, with the development that's happened in and around the whole city of Denver, the more impervious surfaces that we place, the less rainwater has the ability to soak into the ground as it's naturally intended. And so with that increase of impervious surfaces means more street runoff that's flowing into the storm sewer system and building up and pushing these existing infrastructure to its maximum capacity. A little bit of a visualization here. A lot of the existing infrastructure, as I mentioned, is 3.5-inch diameter brick pipe, and a big portion of what we're doing, especially on 17th Avenue west of Colorado Boulevard, we'll be placing a 9-foot by 9-foot box culvert. Obviously, that increases the capacity of the existing infrastructure significantly. To go along with this 9-by-9 box culvert, we'll be placing where we tunnel underneath Colorado Boulevard. It'll be 120-inch diameter, 10-foot diameter pipe. And then again, that larger capacity pipe carries down 17th Avenue Parkway to Albion. And then eventually, as mentioned, this larger infrastructure will go all the way into the neighborhood. When is the project going to happen? We are in the process of issuing the notice to proceed to BT Construction. Their contract officially begins on Monday, April 12th. It is a 365-day period of performance for their contract, so we anticipate in the spring of 2022 to be completed with this work. How is the project going to, what's the construction methodology that's going to be utilized? It's kind of twofold. I've previously mentioned it a little bit, but the majority of the contract and the infrastructure work we will be placing by digging open trenches. And then again, the section underneath Colorado Boulevard will be utilizing a tunneling effort. Here's kind of a visual representation of what that open trench excavation will look like. So you can kind of see here, we have to dig, and in order to place a 9-foot box 20 feet below the existing grade of the ground, we have to dig a very large excavation. And in order to support the soil around that excavation and keep the workers and the existing infrastructure around that area safe, the contractor, BT, will need to place shoring systems into the ground, and that's what you see here, the blue walls on the edges of the excavation. That's what's known and referred to as a slide rail system. It consists of large posts that are driven into the ground, and then the panels in between the posts. As the contractor digs the soil out of the excavation area, the panels slide into place and slide down to protect the workers and keep the trench from collapsing on itself. The other methodology that I spoke of tunneling underneath Colorado Boulevard, that basically consists of digging a large excavation, a large pit on either side of Colorado Boulevard. And then installing a jacking or a ram assembly where you basically drop the pipe sections down into the open pit, and through various processes that they will utilize, they'll either go in and actually hand tunnel, send workers in to hand tunnel underneath the roadway and progress that pipe with the ram, or utilize a different methodology with an auger or a boring machine that bores out the soil, installs the new pipeline behind it. Again, we're utilizing that technique at the Colorado Boulevard just as a way to reduce the amount of impact rather than having a large excavation running all the way across Colorado Boulevard and shutting traffic down for multiple months. This methodology of tunneling reduces that impact. Speaking of impacts, there will be obvious traffic impacts, just based off of the last couple slides and the pictures that are shown there. The magnitude of the infrastructure work that has to happen, it cannot be done without having to close down sections of roadway. There will be street closures on 17th Avenue. There will be periods of times, and we'll get into it a little bit more in detail, where Colorado Boulevard has to be shut down, even though we are doing the tunneling effort. There are other activities that will shut Colorado Boulevard down. And then also on the east side of Colorado Boulevard, there will be periods of time where 17th Avenue Parkway is shut down as well. Any of the residences that are immediately adjacent, facing 17th Avenue, facing Colorado Boulevard, facing Albion Street, when we get onto there, we will reach out to you directly, typically through knocks on the door or flyers placed on the door to let you know exactly what's going on. A little more in detail on the specific traffic impacts. In approximately around the 1st of May, we will be looking to shut 17th Avenue west of Colorado Boulevard down in both directions, full closure starting at Jackson Street. So from Jackson to Colorado Boulevard, that section of roadway is going to be shut down. There will be local traffic only. We'll be able to access 17th Avenue from York all the way down to Jackson Street. RTD, the routes on there will be detoured. We've coordinated with them already, and they will have a detour in place that comes down 17th Avenue and heads down Steel Street, I believe. RTD will place all of that information on their website, and we'll have that information on our project website as well, which will provide you the address for that towards the end of this presentation. That closure on 17th Avenue, we will work with our contractor to ensure that they're doing everything they can to make sure that the work is done in a timely manner. But again, just with the magnitude of the work that we're going to do, that we've been tasked with performing, that closure is going to be in place for approximately 4 to 6 months. Speaking to the closures on Colorado Boulevard, we have an agreement with CDOT to be allowed to close Colorado Boulevard approximately 8 times for an entire weekend. What those closures will look like is they're allowing us to have full closure in only one direction at a time. So we can have all southbound lanes of Colorado Boulevard closed for a weekend, but we have to maintain all of the northbound lanes for that work for that weekend. And what that is, and CDOT has required City of Denver and our contractor BT to, in order to make those, to reduce the number of closures that are required on Colorado Boulevard, they have required us to be working 24 hours a day from Fridays at 10 p.m. until Monday mornings at 5 a.m. We will advertise those upcoming closures a variety of ways, mainly through our website, and CDOT will also advertise those on their website and their Twitter feeds, and City of Denver Department of Transportation and Infrastructure will also be able to advertise those through their Twitter feeds as well. The closures on 17th Avenue Parkway, again, once we get the infrastructure work underneath Colorado Boulevard and are in the process of completing that tunneling effort, that's when the 17th Avenue Parkway closures would come into play. Generally speaking, it should be in the fall of 2021 timeframe. That 17th Avenue Parkway will go late summer, early fall, that those closures will go into place. They will, there will be a period of time where both 17th Avenue west of Colorado Boulevard and 17th Avenue Parkway east of Colorado Boulevard will both be closed at the same time. That's really during the tunneling effort, and there has to be an excavation on either side, one to send the infrastructure underneath and the other on the east side to receive the infrastructure. So during that period of time, the closures should be anticipated to be overlapping, simultaneously overlapping each other. And that's roughly speaking a period of 2 to 3 months. And then carrying on with that, there will be another 4 to 6 months on the east side of Colorado Boulevard. That 17th Avenue Parkway will be under a full closure. During all of these closures, walk-up access to residents and businesses inside the project area will be open. There will never be a period of time where you will not be able to access your front door if you live on 17th Avenue or 17th Avenue Parkway or Colorado Boulevard. Alley accesses will remain open. They'll just be closed where they intersect with the closed roads. So they'll basically become one-way dead-end alleys. Detour signs and message boards will be up throughout the duration of the project in order to alert commuters about the work, provide the anticipated or the detours that will be put into place to handle this these anticipated closures. Another common question when we're performing infrastructure project of this size is vibration concerns. City of Denver recognizes those concerns and understands the impact to a property owner when we're performing construction adjacent to their property. We have produced a pamphlet that contains information on common vibrations caused by construction. That pamphlet is available on our website, which you can see there, the bit.ly/16storm. If you live if your property is directly adjacent to any of the work that we're performing, you will, if you have not already received it, you will be receiving this pamphlet along with a flyer from our vibration consultant, from our contractor's vibration consultant, offering up a assessment of your property prior to the construction work beginning. Ways to stay informed about the project. We have provided set up an email address that's specific to the project. You can email us at info@16thAvStorm.com. Along with this, we strongly encourage you to sign up to receive weekly project updates. Every week, our public information team will get with the project team and find out what the status is on schedule and any anticipated upcoming closures or changes in detours, and send that out to everybody that's signed up for the updates. To get on the list, simply just send an email to the provided address and request to be included on the weekly project updates. You can also email this address with any questions or concerns you might have. We've also provided a project hotline. That project hotline phone number is 720-627-7441. The hotline will get updated weekly with updates, and you can leave a voicemail, or it provides you with the opportunity to text with any questions or concerns. That hotline is regularly checked and updated, so it's another good resource and tool for the community to be able to get information and have your questions. We also have a website that we'll be updating. Again, that website is bit.ly/16storm. There's a lot of good information on that website. A copy of this presentation will be posted on that website for anybody that did not have the opportunity to attend today. Furthermore, on top of the project-specific contact information, you can feel free to get in touch with me directly. Here on this slide is my phone number for my office number, my mobile number, my email address. All this information is also on the website. You know, we can't help you and we can't answer your questions if we don't hear from you. So we're not trying to hide. We're out there. We want to hear from you. If there's questions and concerns, please let us know. We will do what we can within reason to be able to help. But again, we can't take any action or help if we don't know that there's an issue ongoing. With that said, you can also reach out to Rand Peterson. He's the city's project inspector. His contact information is listed here as well as on the website. Contacts for VT Construction include Matt Vojkovic, their project manager, as well as Bruce Spott, their superintendent. That's the end of the formal part of the presentation. We'll go ahead and turn it into a question and answer session. We'll kind of hang out here and allow people to absorb that information, and go ahead and type in any questions you may have at any point in time. If there's a question that is very specific to your specific address, you can go ahead and ask it during this. We might just ask you to send that question into the project email so that we can address it appropriately directly with you via a phone call or a visit out to your property. If it's a question that's kind of overarching for the general public's good, we will all address that question here and now, and then we'll post that into the live event question and answer form. We'll go ahead and further address a couple of the questions that have been asked. Specifically the park impact or the project impacts to the trash pickup. We have had a meeting with, the project team has met with City of Denver Solid Waste Department. For the most part, anybody that's on the west side of Colorado Boulevard, your trash gets picked up in your alleys. Really nothing should change there for you. As I mentioned, the alleys will become dead ends basically, and our trash trucks will just need to back down the alleys, pick up your trash, and then go from there. On the east side of Colorado Boulevard, for the people that are on 17th Avenue Parkway, your trash pickup is currently on 17th Avenue Parkway, and once that roadway is shut down, we'll have to figure something else out. Solid Waste is in the process of figuring out whether they have the right equipment to pick your trash up in the alley, or if they're going to need to pick it up off of Albion Street or off of Batavia. As it says here, once that's determined, the project team will be reaching out directly to you to provide you with an update on where to pick where your trash is going to be picked up on a temporary basis. The daily hours of construction, that's really determined by Denver's Department of Public Health. There's a noise ordinance, and that's basically states you can't make a noise over a certain decibel from 9 p.m. until 7 a.m. on Monday through Friday. We do not anticipate working until 9 p.m. every day. I would say a typical assumption for our typical hours will be 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. In the winter months, won't go that late, just simply because of daylight hours. As I mentioned, anytime that we have Colorado Boulevard weekend closures in play, those are the only periods of time where we would be needing to work around the clock in order to get that work accomplished. For the rest of the project, Saturday work is something that will only be utilized in order to maintain schedule. On Saturdays, the working hours that we're allowed to work based off the noise ordinance is from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Any utility disruption or interruption that we have that is going to be happening really depends on your specific address. For the most part, any internet or electrical power should not be impacted. Gas currently, Excel is in the neighborhood, getting your gas services and the gas mains out of the way. I believe currently they're working on the south side of 17th Avenue, west of Colorado Boulevard. Once they get the gas main and the gas services out of the way of our construction, we would not anticipate any further impact to gas services. There will be some more relocation coming in the future on people east of Colorado Boulevard, specifically on the south side of 17th Avenue Parkway, and then also running down Albion Street. In order to perform this project, there will be Denver Water mainline relocations that will have to happen. Those occur during the construction, and anytime that we're performing work on the Denver water lines, there will be temporary interruptions to your service. There will be portions of the project that will require surface services to be temporarily utilized, where the contractor will run a water line on the surface of the ground and tie your service directly into that above ground water line on a temporary basis at your meter pit. Any of those, anytime that you will be losing water, you'll be experiencing a water outage. Denver Water requires the contractor to provide you with 48 hours notice prior to that occurring. I don't see any new questions. We'll hang on here for another handful of minutes. Again, if you do have questions that come to your mind at any point in time, please reach out to the project team via the methods that we have provided for you. I see a question just came through. How about water going through City Park? Does the culvert go into the park at Jackson? There is already an existing infrastructure that goes through City Park. So this project will not be going into City Park to install new storm water infrastructure. Really the only we'll have to do a little bit of curb and gutter work along the perimeter of the park on the north side of 17th Avenue. And then we'll also have to go into City Park for 30 or so feet in order to replace some sanitary sewer system that's already in City Park. There's a piece of sanitary main that crosses 17th Avenue heading north-south into City Park, and we will need to, as part of the storm sewer infrastructure, we'll have to relocate a section of that sanitary main that goes into the park. Other than that, any impact to the park is really should anticipate to be superficial on the surface, doing surface restoration activities. And we're coordinating currently with the Parks and Recreation crews that operate and maintain City Park to go over and coordinate those efforts. And again, if we're not fully answering your question on the impact of City Park, Jackie, please go ahead and reach out to us directly, and we can talk through it in greater detail. Jackie, I'm not, the water through the system goes into Farrell Pond, and then from there it proceeds along through an underground system and eventually spills into the Platte River. Hopefully that answers your questions. Yes, the storm sewer system, I mean, I would have to consult the maps directly, but in essence, yes, there's an entire existing storm sewer system that runs under City Park. I believe it goes up to 39th Avenue and enters another storm sewer system that takes it the, to the Platte River. Okay, I've seen the number of attendees is keeps dwindling here. We're gonna go ahead and end the presentation at this point in time. Again, if you have specific questions, which it seems like there is some specific questions out there about impact to City Park, please do reach out to the project team or myself directly so we can have continue those conversations. I think it'd be more effective to have those conversations over the phone or in person, or where we can communicate in greater detail. Thank you, everybody that's out there still, for joining today. Again, feel free to reach out to us through the various methods that are provided, and we appreciate your joining us. Thank you.